Cringy moments that left Dr. Phil speechless, Part 2. Hello there, thanks for joining us today as we highlight some cringy moments that left Dr. Phil speechless. If you're wondering who Dr. Phil is, he's a psychologist with a talk show that deals with people facing the most absurd problems. If you're already a fan, why not subscribe and click on the bell icon for more? Now, let's get to it. 5. Will Sarah ever stop lying? Fake shootout, terminal cancer, a disability, and a non-existent family. Sarah found herself in the spotlight with Dr. Phil after her close friends discovered the shocking truth about her. For years, Sarah was able to pull off a charade about having stage 4 breast cancer among other diseases such as muscular dystrophy. Not only did she go to the extent of posting fake photos online about her cancer treatment, but also went ahead to buy wigs and change her appearance to fit her lie. Pushing things too far was when she bought herself a wheelchair so she could play out her lie of not being able to stand by herself due to the muscular dystrophy. According to Sarah, she felt like her life was boring and she didn't have true friends. All she had wanted was attention, which started from when she was about 25. From then, things started getting out of hand and she couldn't stop. She even had to fake a husband called James and 2 kids. To sell the lie, she would pose with her cousins and friends' kids and tell her friends that they lived abroad. Her former friends weren't buying her stories and felt like something was amiss when James was never available. On meeting Sarah on Dr. Phil, they couldn't believe the Sarah that walked in without her wig and wheelchair. As the truth unfolded, Dr. Phil was as disgusted with Sarah as her former friends were. What was more shocking was that she faked a shootout to deviously manipulate her friend Liz, who had previously lost a friend to gun violence. Liz called out Sarah for being selfish because they sacrificed their time and personal lives to ensure that Sarah was happy. Sometimes mother-daughter relationships can get crazy, especially when it comes to handling teenagers. In this case, however, the mom is ready to grab a beer and watch as her own daughter commits suicide. Yes, you heard that right. 4. Teacher becomes guardian to protect student from mother. Adriana, who's 17, claims that her own mother pulled her out of regular school to get homeschooling out of selfish gains. Her mother wanted her to do house chores and babysit her little disabled sisters instead. She initially liked the idea of being able to take care of her disabled siblings, but she really wanted to finish school and go to college. It was one time when Adriana had simply had enough of her home and toxic mother that she decided to contact her teacher on message where she told her what was going on. On reaching out to her eldest sister, she shared plans of moving in with her teacher, Whitney. Adriana explained about the verbal and physical abuse that was currently getting out of hand at home. During the phone conversation, Adriana's mom, Jennifer, overheard the conversation and decided to invite Whitney to their home. She clearly proclaimed that she was fed up of her daughter and was ready to give Whitney guardianship since she was up for adoption. What shocked Whitney more was the words that came out of Jennifer's mouth. She made it clear that she hated her daughter, even pointing out that Dr. Phil said it was okay for parents to hate their kids. Dr. Phil had to clarify that he never said such a thing. Whitney, seeing the toxic environment, she decided to talk to her husband to host Adriana as they try to get help from Child Protective Services. On their meeting with Dr. Phil, Adriana shares the truth about their life and calls out her mom for being lazy and not wanting to get a well-paying job because they have been kicked out of multiple homes and even once lived in a van. When Adriana shared about the different strange men that frequented their home, her mother got defensive, claiming she knew them. The worst part was when she allowed her 7-year-old daughter to go to California with a strange man, putting her at risk of sexual violence. Dr. Phil is left speechless at how ignorant Jennifer is being by saying that she was a good mother. What shocked the audience more was when she told her daughter to go kill herself if she wanted to because she would just get a beer and watch, making it the best Christmas gift ever. Jimmy found himself in a dilemma on Dr. Phil when his soon-to-be wife said that he's worse than her pigs and constantly complains about his slurping, munching, crunching, chewing, and jaw-cracking. This forced him to call off their engagement. Before we get to this bizarre story, make sure you stick around till the end to get a scoop of the most insane moment that left Dr. Phil speechless. 3. I treat my pet pigs better than my noisy eating fiance. Anne-Marie says that her pet pigs are nothing compared to the slurping, munching, crunching, chewing, jaw-cracking noises her soon-to-be husband, Jimmy, makes while he eats. Jimmy, on the other hand, feels that Anne-Marie is simply a lunatic. The two have a hard time eating together at the same table or even being intimate due to the sound of Jeremy's jaws cracking. Anne-Marie diagnosed herself with a disorder known as misophonia that occurs in a number of people who have an abnormally strong negative reaction to specific soft sounds. Dr. Phil tells Anne-Marie she's able to control her condition because she's selective about the noises that trigger her anger. Dr. Phil further explains that despite there being topics, there usually are underlying issues that trigger some reactions. Anne-Marie is able to open up about Jeremy's alcoholism, abuse, and infidelity, and says that they are some of the reasons she is picking up on small things because she feels ignored. As much as Dr. Phil would like to help the couple, Anne-Marie's outbursts are causing Jeremy to develop a self-defense mechanism against her. Dr. Phil continues to tell Anne-Marie that she is using insignificant things to rage out her anger for the significant things she needs to be focusing on. Anne-Marie wants Jeremy to be committed in the relationship, then maybe things would be different. A 45-year-old able-bodied man still living with his mom isn't such a pleasing title. Jeff is on the hot seat after his sisters and mother simply had enough of handling his mess and decided to bring Dr. Phil on board for an intervention. 2. My 45-year-old brother is a loser who lives in his childhood bedroom. According to Monica, her brother Jeff moved back into his childhood bedroom in his mother's home and has never left. Their mom admits to being an enabler since she does everything for Jeff and his sons. Ever since he moved back into their house 16 years ago, she's had to take care of him and his sons. She spent over $100,000 on Jeff and the kids and has even taken the role of attending most of their school functions since Jeff wouldn't do it. Instead of spending time with his kids, Jeff opts to hang out with his friends, smoke weed, and watch TV like a teenager. He'd even disappear for weeks in the car his mom bought him, and no one would question him. His sisters say that their mom is scared of him and would never talk about his irresponsible behavior. Since Jeff handles no responsibilities, his mom was forced to go out of retirement and seek full-time work so she's able to sustain the family. What's more shocking is that the mom was willing to go the extra mile to cover the tracks of her son's irresponsible behavior, and even buys the kids Christmas gifts and signing them off with his name. Jeff was once an aircraft mechanic who had a decent life. Only after his divorce did things take a turn for the worst. He claims his mom and aunt refused to move with the kids, forcing him to stay back home, which his sisters claim isn't quite true. Dr. Phil disapproves of the high schooler behavior and tells him to step up and do more with his life rather than drinking Mountain Dew and smoking weed in his room. When Dr. Phil asks Jeff if he has a plan, he confidently tells him he's been having plans with his friend to open a marijuana dispensary once the laws in Missouri allow. This stirs quite a reaction from the audience and Dr. Phil, who, at the moment, was speechless. It didn't feel like a solid plan because Jeff disclosed that they were high at the time of the discussion, and since he'd been unemployed for 16 years, there was no solid experience in the said business. I saved the best for last, but first I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works. 1. Madly in love, but related. When two first cousins come out as lovers, the first reaction would be a cringe. This is because the Western culture shuns the tradition even though parts of India and Africa are in support of this practice. The case of first cousins, Angie and Michael, who claim to have been in love since they were young children, caught the attention of Dr. Phil. The two had been crushing on each other as kids and even share their memorable moments kissing and holding hands during family reunions. Angie shares stories of the moment where they were 10 years old and were busted by their other cousin who informed their parents that they were kissing. Since then, they were separated as kids. As adults, they were able to find their way back into each other's arms. Michael shares a story of how they met on social media and decided to meet up with her, and was then introduced to Angie's ex-husband, who he felt wasn't the right person for her. They continued to keep in contact, and they would send each other messages with I love yous and heart emojis. Angie was the first to make a move on Michael when she asked for a French kiss and invited Michael over to her apartment, where Michael shares that they were intimate for hours. Their union hasn't been easy. Angie and Michael have had to face some harsh people with vitriolic comments calling them out for their unacceptable union. Some of the names they've been called are hillbilly, country bumpkin, among other nasty names. In their quest for a change, the two decided to start a petition to abolish the law in Utah, which can criminate them for having an intimate union as first cousins. The two even made news headlines after getting married in Colorado, since their union wasn't allowed in all but 19 states, including Utah, where they lived. Despite their love causing a mixed reaction in their family, who, till now, aren't in support of their unorthodox union, Michael says it was the best decision they ever made, being with each other since they were soulmates. Dr. Phil begs to differ since they were basing their facts on having a family from the internet and not scientific facts. Their need for starting a family would result in a high-risk pregnancy not recommended in the medical community. According to Dr. Dina Grayson, who's a medical researcher invited to the show by Dr. Phil, explains that the risks of having a baby between close family members are actually greater to a woman at 40 getting a baby. One of the most alarming findings is that the stillbirths are higher at a whopping 80%. Dr. Phil calls it out as wrong and continues to tell them to get facts rather than getting information from Dr. Google. Thanks for watching. Share with your friends and family, and be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more entertaining videos from the latest Dr. Phil episodes. Turn on the bell notification to get notified immediately when we post something new. Also, leave a comment below if you'd like us to cover some new topics. Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.